people buy
And
the
I ain't
Ford
gonna have to step up too far either. What?
Do what?
That's a big truck for a big girl. I am 6'2.5". Perfect fit. Perfect fit. I need that truck. I need it. So I changed my mind. I need it.
You need that truck?
Yes, I need it.
Hey, and it's got a full-size bed.
Yep. I can put a bunch of bodies back there.
Somewhere deep in the Ozark woods lurks the two people everyone tries to avoid the most. If you're not careful, they may find you before you find them.
Morning. Hey everybody. Grandma's with me, and we were just talking. It's early, late. I guess it's 4:30 in the morning, 4:25 in the morning. I saw this truck on the thumbnail, and I knew that Grandma would love this truck. So now we are going to review this video and let Grandma comment on this. Ford F-650 is a $150,000 super truck.
This is a 2016 Ford F-650, and it is the ultimate pickup truck. You've heard of supercars, of course. Well, this is a super truck, one of the largest pickup trucks on the planet. And today, I'm going to review it.
I don't care what he says. I don't care what he says. He could call it a piece of shit. I don't give a damn. Let me get that money. I know I don't need it. I can honestly admit I can go for F-150. But let me get that money. I'm buying it. Point blank, period. I'm buying it. I'm getting that truck. Because I've been wanting that truck for how many years now?
Well, we bought Big Red, our big
250.
F-250 in
2016.
Yeah, 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And you fell in love with that truck.
Mm-hmm. And then started looking at bigger.
And then started looking at bigger.
So it's going on 6 years.
And there's that
450.
The F-450 that drives down every now and then.
It ain't as pretty as that though.
No, but
yes.
I've borrowed this F-650 from CNC Motors, which is an exotic car dealership here in Southern California that has an amazing inventory of amazing cars. Everything from $1 million exotics to old cars to, well, weird stuff like this. They have one of the most incredible showrooms of any car dealership on the planet, and you can check them out by clicking the link in the description below. Now, you surely know the Ford F-Series, which is the best-selling vehicle in America. Most people buy
And I ain't
Ford
gonna have to step up too far either. What?
Do what?
That's a big truck for a big girl. I am 6'2.5". Perfect fit. Perfect fit. I need that truck. I need it. So I changed my mind. I need it.
You need that truck?
Yes, I need it.
Hey, and it's got a full-size bed.
Yep. I can put a bunch of bodies back there.
50, which is plenty capable for almost all needs. If you need to tow or haul something specific, maybe you upgrade to the F-250. And if you really want to pull something huge, then you get an F-350. And the vast majority of consumers think that that's where the Ford F-Series lineup ends.
No.
But it doesn't, because this is an F-650. In fact, the Ford F-Series lineup goes all the way up to the F-750, but most of these higher numbered trucks are typically commercial vehicles like tow trucks or ambulances or dump trucks. But not this one. This is just a regular old pickup truck, except massive. Now, Ford doesn't sell it this way. They sell the F-650 with a cab and then just a basic bare strip chassis, they call it. And then this company called Super Trucks converts it into a pickup with luxury features and a pickup truck bed. Now, the F-650 weighs 10,000 pounds.
Look at the front of that. Oh my God. Look how pretty that is. Oh my God. Yes. Hell yes.
Hey, we could buy the base and take it to Count's Custom in Las Vegas.
Nope. I said when I was researching, you know, me and Pinterest were friends. I was on Pinterest. They had a 650 and it's called the Black Knight or something, where they took a 650 and it's 3 doors. It's a big ass SUV. 350 grand. So that's 150 for the truck and then 200 on upgrades. Nobody better not ever let me become a millionaire. Because I'll do that.
You'd have to take stock in a fuel company just to keep that sucker.
Diesel. And you know I love diesel trucks. Yes, I prefer diesel. I'm telling you.
Version. So this thing really is huge. Fortunately, it has a good engine to handle all that power. It's got a 6.7 liter Power Stroke V8 that makes about 330 horsepower and about 750 pound-feet of torque. So anyway, today I'm going to review the F-650. First, I'm going to take you on a tour of it and show you all the interesting quirks and features of the ultimate pickup truck.
It's
then
beautiful.
I'm going to get it out on the road and drive.
Do what?
It's beautiful. It's so pretty. So the only thing that's wrong.
You just sit outside and sit in it.
Oh no, I will put some miles on that. Tell me to go to Walmart. We got them Mercedes out there.
Yeah.
Fuck them Mercedes. I'll be driving that to Walmart, even if I'm just going to get a loaf of bread.
Oh, I need creamer for my coffee. And you come back with these little cups.
Yes, man.
Coffee run.
I need this. And I make coffee runs just to make coffee runs. Don't need it, but I'm going to drive
There
that
was
truck.
a Starbucks in town, and you had that truck.
Nope. I cannot. I like caramel macchiatos, the big one. But I can't see paying $7 for that when I can go on the internet and Google it and make it at home. I'm cheap.
Well, you got to save all your money so we can afford things.
No, not for something. Okay, I'm cheap when it's something I can do at home.
Yeah.
I can't do that at home. So know this now. I love you. But there will be no ifs, ands, buts, or suppose. The minute I get the money, we're going to Ford. Just letting you know. Everybody heard me. We're going to Ford to get that truck. And then I'm going to get a custom paint job because it's going to be a dark, dark purple that almost look black.
Like a chameleon purple. Changes a little bit in the
No,
light.
you just have to look at it at a different angle because if you look at it straight on, it's going to look purplish black. But if you look at it at an angle or close up,
it's a chameleon
because
purple.
one of my coworkers from the VA, she has a Camaro that's like that. Her husband got it for her birthday. It's a, Miss Cynthia.
Yeah.
Okay, well, she has one, and I thought it was black when I first seen it, but it's a dark, it's a midnight blue. It's a dark blue, but it's pretty. It's so pretty. Mine will be gorgeous. Just letting you know.
Drive it, and then I'm going to give it a Doug score. And for more of my thoughts on the F-650, click the link below to visit autotrader.com/oversteer. All right, I'm going to start the quirks and features of the F-650 with simply getting inside. And as you can see, this is a truck with a staircase. Because it is massive. But there is a problem with the staircase. The lowest stair is still really high up. You can see I have to lift my leg really far, and if you're like old or small, you might not be able to do this. So even with the staircase, it's hard to get in. Fortunately,
Less people to ask to borrow your truck.
Yeah. Remember Wally always bitched about getting in and out of Big Red. I think right now I would have a problem getting in and out of Big Red. Need one of those ladder ropes or rope ladders like you throw out of here. Crawl. When you open the door, it comes down from the oh shit handle.
Oh,
rope
wow.
ladder.
Oh, wow.
Then when you close the door, it just automatically reels up. You open the door and it drops down so you can get in and out.
thought of that. You open the door and another stair deploys. So now you have an even larger staircase. But this is more than enough to be able to climb step 1, step 2, step 3, into the F-650.
He got in there so wrong.
Same deal when you get out.
Huh?
He got in it wrong. He just got in it wrong.
Yeah,
Disrespectful.
yeah.
He got in it all wrong.
Didn't have any class. It wasn't smooth. It wasn't slick. I'm just like,
You start with your right foot. Put your right foot on the lower step. Put your left foot on that step right there. You can totally miss that one that he got his feet on and throw your right leg in there and slide your booty right on in and you're there. He got in it wrong. Just wrong.
You start here at the top, step 1, step 2, step 3, you're out, you shut the door, and then the additional stair retracts back into the vehicle. And it's worth noting that that folding stair isn't unique just to the driver's side of this truck. They have the same thing on the passenger side and in the back. You open the rear door and once again, the stair automatically extends out, and then you climb on in to get into the F-650. And then you're in. And again, same deal to get out. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and only then are you comfortably out of the F-650. And next up, I'm not quite done with this staircase to get into the F-650 because this isn't just a staircase, it's also a fuel tank. If you look down at the back end, you will see a big cap on top of it, and that's where you stick diesel fuel in this thing. And there are 2 of these. There's one giant fuel tank on the driver's side that includes these steps, and then there's one giant fuel tank on the passenger side that includes these steps. So this truck has 2 fuel tanks for a total of 115 gallons of fuel. At the current price of diesel, filling up this truck is something like $400 or $500. But such is the price you pay to drive the ultimate pickup truck. But down the side of this truck, it isn't all fuel tanks. In fact, this is a cargo compartment. You open it up, turn this little latch, and then you can see you can stick in some cargo in here. And in fact, same thing on the other side, over on the passenger side of the truck, in the same spot, there is another cargo compartment just like this one that you can open up and put stuff in, which I think is actually a pretty good idea because otherwise this would just be wasted space. And one of the big problems with pickup trucks is there's no trunk. You can't lock anything, but with this, you can. You'll notice there's a separate key lock. You can stick your stuff in here and no one will get to it. And next we move on to the bed, which is rather ridiculous. Now, I say that because like I mentioned before, Ford sells the F-650 as a stripped chassis, which means it has a cab and then back here just chassis rails and you can add whatever you want in the back. Now, most companies add like a tow truck or a dump truck or an ambulance box, but in order to make this into the ultimate pickup, Super Trucks just adds the regular bed from the Ford F-350 dually. It matches and pretty much that's all they have available to them. But this creates some problems. I will start with the fuel door. Now, I showed you earlier how you add fuel to the giant fuel tanks in here, but the F-350 bed comes with a fuel door when you buy it. So you open up this fuel door and there's just holes there. It looks absolutely ridiculous, stupid, unfinished, but that's just the reality when you stick on a bed from a different vehicle. And next up, we move on to the next problem created by the bed, and that would be the problem with the tire. Now, the regular F-350 uses normal street car tires, obviously huge ones, but they work for normal road-going vehicles. But the F-650 uses these massive commercial-grade tires you'd see on like a crane or a dump truck. And so, these tires don't fit under this wheel well because they were never designed to go here. So if you actually look at the wheel well, you'll see the top of the tire fits into the bottom of the wheel well, but if it went any higher, it would cut off the tire and it wouldn't actually be able to turn. And so, for the first time in the entire history of one of my reviews, I can confidently say that this wheel well is purely here for decoration, since it doesn't really have any function, since it can't actually contain the tire. And then we move on to the most serious problem with the bed, and that would be its usefulness. What do you need a pickup truck bed for? To put stuff in. Well, you can do that in this truck, but the problem is when you drop the bed, it comes up to my stomach or even a little bit higher. There's no way you could ever get something into this bed, especially anything heavy, if you wanted to carry it around. So you have this massive truck with this incredibly capable chassis. And
That's a lie, because Big Red was just a little shorter than that, and we piled her up high.
Well, but see, we had the step tailgate. This does not have a step tailgate.
You can
what
get
we
it.
had. Yeah, well, yeah, it could be modified.
Because they got a 350 bed up there. A 350 bed up there. The 250s and the 350s comes with the... I
Well,
guess,
it's the year. This
we
is a
had-
2015.
No, that's the 2016.
Okay, anyway. The step bit tailgate may not have been available on the F-350
Okay.
or 450, whatever that bed's off of. I don't know. It can be rectified, yes.
I know.
We can be rectified, and if you're spending that kind of money,
Oh, that gas, that phony,
see,
the gas thingy on the bed, that would be gone.
well, that's what I'm saying. If you'd have taken that, if you'd have bought the bare chassis and taken it to like Counts, they would have put a custom bed on it, and it would have looked right. Or if they'd have gone with that bed, Counts would have gone ahead and reshaped the wheel wells, fixed the step. They would have fixed where did they put the DEF? That's a diesel fuel system. Ford you have to put the diesel exhaust fuel. Normally in that, I thought the regular gas port on the bed was for the DEF, because I said, okay, you still need to put DEF in it. Well, they opened it up, it's empty.
So where would they put it? That's a good
Where
question.
would they put it? I'd have left it there but this bed can be,
It can be fixed.
you could put a hydraulic tailgate down on it. Like your big commercial truck, you're spending that kind of money.
Yeah, get it to where it drops down, load it up, then
Yeah,
push
it
them
lifts
in.
up. Yeah.
can't even put anything back here in order to drive it anywhere because nobody can get into this bed. That is probably the biggest bed-related flaw. It's almost like the entire bed is there just for aesthetic style reasons. But anyway, speaking of the bed, if you were to actually be able to get something in here, you would find that it's just a pretty standard Ford F-350 Super Duty bed. Nothing unusual, nothing particularly special in the bed of the 650. But while the inside of the bed may not be particularly interesting, there are quite a few other interesting quirks and
What are these brackets here for? That's not standard on that bed. That's reinforcing for something.
You know that metal bump out gate that a lot of people have?
Yeah.
You might be able to take that off and put that. That might be what that's for.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
You know which one that look like a roll cages?
Yeah.
That just bump out like there's just 2 or 3 metal bars.
Yeah.
It might be for that.
I don't know. I'm just curious when I saw that.
inside of the bed may not be particularly interesting. There are quite a few other interesting quirks and features on the outside of the F-650.
They stole our Big Red. They stole that from us. I do like these lights and that bumper.
I'm going to start with the mud flaps. This thing has such massively huge tires that it has to have massively huge mud flaps. These look like they've come right off a semi-truck. They are really intense. In fact, the mud flaps are so huge, they have their own turn signals. You put on the turn signal, and one specifically lights up on the top of the mud flaps. And speaking of excessive lighting, that's a bit of a theme on this particular F-650. When you put on the turn signals, 4 separate signal lights light up in the back of this truck on either side. You have the one in the mud flaps, then there's one right below the bed, you have one in the normal taillight brake light housing, and then you have one at the top of the cab in the back. So there are many different ways this truck lets you know that it's changing lanes or turning from the back. And the theme of this truck being a little over eager to let you know that it's changing lanes continues down the side, where you also have an enormous number of turn signals. You have one on the front fender, you have one in the side mirror, and then you have 4 separate LED turn signals on each side under the doors, letting other drivers know that you're changing lanes. This is not due to any regulation. It's clear to me that this truck was just owned by like an LED lighting enthusiast who wanted a lot of different lights whenever anything happened. But probably the most insane exterior feature of this truck is the front end design. You look at this front end and it's clear that this is Ford's giant commercial vehicles.
You'd have to get used to parking that in a. You'd have to be real careful where you park that in a parking lot.
Nope, I just park it the same way I park Big Red. At the end of the parking lot and walk my happy ass.
Yeah,
to
but
the
I'm just
store.
saying you got to
because my thing, I didn't want nobody dinging it. None of that. I parked at the very end.
But what I'm getting at is that bumper sticks out. You have to learn that. Okay, you get to learn that we're.
I'll hit a couple things and learn.
Oh yeah.
I'll hit a couple things. I'm not even going to deny that. It's a possibility. I'm going to hit a couple things.
So we have to get bumper insurance, or a spare bumper. We'll have to put a rubber baby buggy bumpers on the front of it until you got used to put little rubber the docking things that you put on boats. She's parking it and have dropped down 2 docking buoys. Have the same thing on the doors.
You probably can't even see over the dashboard.
As soon as that sucker proximity alarm, and all of a sudden the little rubber inflatable pads come.
Yeah,
She's
you would be
parking
like one of them people. Here's the steering wheel. You be looking through the steering wheel driving. You so freaking little.
The seat goes up and down.
You better hope the pedals come out like they did Big Red.
I drove.
This doesn't look.
I've driven semis.
Driving people semi crazy.
You know, I usually
You've driven
drive them all
somebody
the way.
semi crazy.
I usually drive them all
See?
the way. So I don't.
We're talking big trucks, not semi crazy.
No, I drove big trucks. Remember, I worked for a truck line. I drove big trucks.
Anything like a regular pickup. And I guess that's why people buy it. Their neighbor just got an F-350. They want to show them up, so they get this. And no one will ever confuse this for any regular pickup truck when you see the front end of this thing. It is just ridiculously huge. Especially huge and massive in this truck is this giant front bumper, which sticks out like 1.5 feet beyond the front of the trunk. It's chrome on the front, this matte black on the top, and I can completely sit on it, which isn't something I can do in most of the cars I review. I'm not sitting on a lot of Pagani Huayra bumpers, but you can do it in this thing because it's just so tough and massive and insane. It's worth noting this bumper will also push anything out of the way. And since we're up front, we might as well talk engine. Like I mentioned, this is Ford's 6.7 liter Power Stroke turbo diesel V8, 330 horsepower, about 750 pound-feet of torque, pretty healthy numbers. But my favorite thing is how you access the engine. There is no little latch you pull in the driver footwell. Instead, you walk over to the passenger side and undo this little strap. Then you
Like
come
an
over to the
18-wheeler.
driver's side, you undo the same strap, and then it's all about brute strength and force in order to get this absolutely massive hood up. But once you do, you can see the engine, although it's still about 6.5 feet on the ground, so it's not like you're going to have all that much access to it. And by the way, since I'm up front, it's worth noting that the massive LED lighting theme of this truck continues up front. You can see there are 4 separate LEDs in this giant front bumper. Now, you turn these on with the 4 auxiliary switches in the cabin. If you press them all to turn them all on, you will turn on the lights in front, all 4 of them, the 2 circles and the 2 in the middle, and you will also turn on all the lights in the back. There is a giant LED above the bed that goes on, and then there are 2 more LEDs in the rear bumper. Again, I'm not sure what the obsession was with LEDs, but when they're all on, this truck is very unmistakable. And next we move on to the inside of the F-650. And by the way, my camera and tripod is as high as it possibly goes right now. This setup has worked for every other car I've ever reviewed, but it is not tall enough for the F-650. And it looks like you're like a little puppy looking into a car. Come play with me. But anyway, moving on to the interior. And now the interior here is not as interesting as the exterior, mostly because this is effectively just a regular F-Series Super Duty truck cab put on this ridiculous body. So there's nothing particularly interesting or weird, but there are some quirks and features worth noting, the biggest of which is the transmission situation. This truck has an automatic like you'd expect, but it doesn't have park. Take a look in the gauge cluster. You can see all the other gears are there, but there's no P. Instead, in order to park this truck, you put it in neutral, and then there's this giant floor-mounted parking brake. You pull that, and then the truck is parked like a manual transmission car or an exotic car with like a dual clutch or an F1 Ferrari transmission. I have never seen this in any other vehicle, but it's in this one. And next up, there are some other interesting quirks and features in here worth noting. For example, in the center control stack, there's a little fuel icon, and you can see there's a switch marked L and R. This is to switch between left and right fuel tanks. So if you run out of fuel in your 60-gallon
I don't like
tank
how
on one
flexible
side,
that
just
is.
switch over to the
Do you see
How the thing moved?
how
Yeah.
that thing moved? No, I'd be that would have to be fixed.
50-gallon tank on the other, and just keep on going. And next up, another interesting item in that center control stack, there's a button that's marked hold to sec with like arrows next to a truck bed. If you press that button, it will actually lower the truck to make it a little bit easier to get stuff into the bed. Unfortunately, it's not easy enough. The bed is still really, really high up, and there's not really all that much you can do to change it because there's so much hardware underneath. But that does make it just a little easier. Now, when you want to raise the bed back up again, just press the button again for 2 seconds, and the truck will come right back up, and then you can drive along like normal. And next up, another interesting button in the center control stack. To the right of the steering wheel, there is a button with what looks like a little cloud on it. You press that, and it will restrict the exhaust gases for the engine. The theory here is you use that button when you're going downhill. You press it, and then it will restrict the exhaust flow from the engine, and that will make the engine a little bit harder to turn, and that will slow down the engine and thus the truck. And that way, when you're going downhill, you don't have to ride your brakes, which is especially a big problem if you're towing a trailer. It's very heavy. It will burn out your brakes.
Okay, it's like
quickly,
Jake brake.
But you press that, and
Like what the big trucks do that you can't do in town. Jake braking.
Yeah.
Okay.
it will slow you down a little bit more than usual. And next up to the left of the steering wheel, you have a little black button. That one wasn't put there by Ford. You know that because it's unlabeled. And what that does is it turns on the train horn. Of course, the kind of person who would want a truck like this would want a train horn. So let's listen to it very briefly. And finally, moving on to the last interesting button in this interior. This one over on the driver's door panel, there's a little button there with a mirror on it. You press that
mirrors
and it
in and
moves
out.
the mirrors in or out, which is really incredible because if you're towing a trailer, a lot of times you have to stick on like an extended mirror to see behind the trailer. Well, in this thing, you just push the button
That's
and the
for all
mirrors you
Fords.
already have just slide out a little further. When you take the trailer off, press the button again and the mirror comes right back to normal. It really makes towing life a lot easier. But other than those interesting buttons and the weird park neutral thing, this truck has a pretty basic interior, and you can tell that it was originally intended to be a fairly basic commercial vehicle. For one thing, you have 3 across seating up front, no luxury fancy center console in here. You also have a plastic dash.
We didn't have 3 across seating, but we had the center console. We had,
Yeah, but you can have that taken out and have a center
yeah,
console.
but
put
I'm
in there.
saying we didn't have the 3 across. We had.
I swear, they have 6 doors with it looked like a overly large expedition.
Oh, so you're not going to have a pickup truck.
I could do. Well, the grandkids don't live there no more, so I wouldn't need a grandma car.
Oh.
So no, it'd be a pickup. I wouldn't need a grandma car.
And it's easier to wash out the back of the bed from the blood and stuff, where an SUV, you gotta have it professional.
Don't have me pull a Dexter.
I'm just telling you.
Don't have me put 10 mil plastic. Don't have me pull a Dexter.
I'm just saying. You know, I'm thinking.
10 mil plastic.
Yeah, but that takes time. I mean, and
No,
then
it ain't.
and then when you get busted, they've got it's premeditated.
No, I didn't premeditate killing him. It was an accident, but I did premeditate me not having to scrub blood out of my car.
Oh, so you just the individual was, but you'd already planned. You knew you were going to kill somebody.
No.
Just the who was not.
No, I didn't know I was going to kill him.
There was a high propensity that somebody.
I didn't know I was going to kill him. But once I killed him and I knew I had to dispose of the body, I was not going to have blood in my truck. Do you know how much this truck cost me?
But you had to buy the plastic ahead of time.
Nope, I have a greenhouse. I have a tall hoop house, so it's extra. I didn't have to buy anything. So no.
You really would make a good lawyer.
No, I wouldn't.
Ford plastic glove
I already
box,
said that.
plastic steering wheel. Nothing here looks particularly nice. Again, this was intended to be a basic work truck until it got converted. And the company that converted it put in these nice heated leather seats, but at its core, it's still a pretty basic vehicle. And finally, we move on to the back seat of the F-650. And as you can probably tell, again, this was not intended to be a cool or interesting thing, just a back seat to go in a work truck to a job site, nothing particularly special. But the company that turned this into a super truck did add a couple of interesting quirks and features. One is the fact that this back seat folds down into a bed. You press this little button on the side and it will fold all the way flat, so you can sleep in the back of your F-650 if you have to.
Now, we
And
need
if
that
you're
for
kinda
road trips
small,
for
because
you.
It's not a very big bed. And the other interesting quirk worth noting back here is that on the backs of the front seats, you have not just one storage pocket for documents, but two, which is twice what you get in a normal vehicle, proving again that this is the ultimate pickup truck. And so those are the quirks and features of the Ford F-650. Now it's time to
Big Red was that way. We were even with the cabs on the semis. Unless it was a cab over that was extra high, but we were even up. We had a 6-inch lift on that truck, so we were. I bet you we weren't much shorter than what this truck
That's
is.
what I said at the beginning.
Yeah, no, you can't get. And there was parking garages we couldn't get Big Red into.
No, because you remember when we took Wally to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We couldn't get in the
The
parking garage.
antenna just zoom all on the roof of the thing, and I think you had maybe that much room before you scraped the roof of the truck.
Took the lights off the top of the truck. Yeah, we only had a couple of inches. We
I don't
were
even think
nervous.
you had an inch.
We were nervous there a couple of things.
I wasn't
And then
nervous.
getting out, we had to backtrack because we
I wasn't
couldn't-
nervous. I wasn't driving. I wasn't driving, so I wasn't nervous. So if anything had happened, it was all on you.
But that looks like the interior of Big Red.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want the 3 across.
No.
In the front, I wouldn't want the 3 across.
You wouldn't want
I
to sit
got.
next to me?
I want to have my armrest, so my cups and my snacks and stuff is right there. Because if we go on a road trip,
Yawned.
obviously, if we go on a road trip, you're going to be in the back sleep anyway. You are a horrible co-pilot on a road trip.
Oh, see, that way, if we had the 3 across, I could just lay down and put my head in your lap, and I could sleep, and you could make sure I was okay. You could make a little cap that's set with a little cup rest over my ears, so you could sit,
You move too much.
get a cup of coffee,
You move too much.
a little
you move
splash
too much.
guard, so it didn't, if it spilled, it didn't get my.
You move too much. No, I just made sure I got your blanket and a pillow in the back. You move too much. No, and then no.
That back seat folds out into a bed.
You can go to sleep and stretch out because you're not that tall. You could probably lay there and stretch completely out.
I won't be able to point my toes.
No, but you could probably stretch completely out. I know if you couldn't do it,
I'm feeling some hate here.
no.
Envy.
Nope, because I can reach everything. I don't need I don't need assistance. Like a step stool.
Yeah, but
You know.
squatting sometimes hard for you.
Yeah.
Why do they put shelves down that low?
You're asking the wrong person. And
No, that's what you say.
no, that's why I think me and you are perfect. I get the stuff up high. You get the stuff down low. Because that's too far.
And then in critical shooting situations, you can use my head as a rest.
Yes. Yes. Or do like The Hobbit. The Desolation of Smaug. When the Black Arrow, he had to use his son's shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Stay still. Stop moving. Hold your breath. I sure could.
I got a semi-truck, no problem. There's not much more that's especially interesting or exciting about the driving experience. It drives like a huge truck, but probably even a little bit worse. The steering is really, really vague. There's really not all that much acceleration power. You don't really expect it. I mean, obviously, even though this thing is like the ultimate pickup craziness, it's still kind of designed for pulling and that sort of thing, and not for any sort of fun or exciting. I think the real fun you get is knowing you have this ridiculous, insane thing. I do have to admit, if you really want to be the king of the road, you know, in today's world, everybody said they wanted an SUV so they could sit up high, and now everybody's got an SUV so you can't sit up high and see over anything. But if you want to be the king of the road, forget the 6x6. You want one of these things. You want this, or an International CXT or MXT, whatever, or Chevy Kodiak. I mean, this is the absolute king. It's just, I can't imagine any actual rational, practical purpose for it, except to be the king of the road. Like, yeah, mine's
Why
bigger.
gotta be king?
Doesn't really matter.
How come it give you queen?
Well, yeah, but it's just like, you know, we knew,
Sexist much?
when we bought Big Red, we knew it wasn't practical.
No.
But we spent so much time on the road
And
that
hauling stuff and you know, and lumber and all that from, yeah.
well, I mean, just going cross country and hauling back heavy equipment from the East Coast. But it was also our signal. Whenever in the oil field, when anybody saw that truck from a distance, they knew who was driving it. That was our calling card, was Big Red. When we pull up into any oil field location, and they knew who it was right off the bat. Or if we were coming on location pulling our camper, our fifth wheel, they could see us from the people, you know, the dairy can up there could look and say, hey,
Mud logger's here.
yeah, geologist is here.
Yeah.
5 miles, and they're clearing the space for us. Yeah. But you could also keep track of me when we were home, because everybody in town knew where I was constantly.
Yeah.
I couldn't
hide.
I couldn't be out parked in somebody's driveway without you knowing it, or even in their neighborhood.
Pretty much. And it not only because it's color, but it's size.
Yeah.
But then the color thing, you couldn't use the color anymore because Dr. Langley got a 150, the exact same color as Big Red, because she fell in love with the color.
What someone else had.
Well, remember the company man that bought the black one. He couldn't find a red one like ours. I said, well, you won't find one like ours. Ours was custom. It was.
Yeah, but he didn't have the Tuscany stuff on his.
No, his was Black Ops. It was made by the same company. It was customized by the same company. But it wasn't the Tuscany. It was the Black Ops.
Because he didn't have the hood that we had or none of that. Yeah.
Mine's bigger. I gotta be honest, as big as this thing looks from the outside, it feels even bigger on the inside. It is incredible to me how small regular cars feel when I'm driving in this thing. The acceleration is pretty labored. Ride quality is not the best. And it's ultimately a Ford pickup, and it's a commercial chassis. It wasn't designed for like luxurious ride. It's just that, just like with the Hummer or whatever, there are some people who they wanted one as a personal vehicle. This is just so egregiously high up. I just feel so superior to everyone else. And you also feel that you can run into stuff. I mean, I feel, especially that giant bumper on the front, I feel like it would be nothing if I started running down other vehicles, but also maybe even trees. And so that's the Ford F-650. You know, the Ford F-150 is pretty big. The F-250 and F-350 are huge. This thing is on another level. It is gargantuan, colossal, massive.
He's so wrong.
You'll say, well,
A 250 is right. A 150 is little. The 150 is little. It's a toy pickup truck.
Yeah.
That's the baby. That's the baby truck.
The Ranger.
Okay, no, that's the infant.
That's
Okay, so the 150 got to be the toddler. Because that Ranger's little. No.
But this thing would ride totally different than Big Red. This would be totally. See, if we bought one, the suspension would have to be customized. Yeah.
Whoever we take it to, tell them, hey,
Yeah.
I want this to ride
Like
a luxury SUV,
yeah.
but I still want it to have its pull.
Ride like an old Cadillac, just smooth.
The only thing is, okay,
Big Red had a smooth ride even with those aggressive tires. It wasn't until you got mileage on the tires and they started to hum, because we ran off-road tires. But when he put brand new tires on that sucker and they were perfect, that sucker's
Rode smooth.
Yeah, it was like riding on a cloud.
Mm-hmm.
But once those tires started getting some wear to them and started riding like truck tires and humming and making noise and
Whatever you want to call it, it is undoubtedly the ultimate pickup truck, whether or not that's a good thing. Anyway, now it's time for me to give the F-650 a Doug score.
Starting with the weekend categories and styling, the F-650 is a bit of an acquired taste. I wouldn't call it ugly, but it's certainly not beautiful, and it gets a 5 out of 10. Acceleration is very slow, and it gets a 1 out of 10. Handling is really bad, incredibly floaty and soft, not dangerous, but getting there, and it gets a 2 out of 10. Fun factor is okay. It's not that fun to drive, but I admit it is kind of fun to flex this thing like the massive truck that it is, and it gets a 4 out of 10. Cool factor is reasonably high. Non-truck people hate these, but truck people think it's awesome, and it gets a 6 out of 10 for a total weekend score of 18 out of 50. Next up are the daily categories and features. It's not very well equipped unless you count LED lights as features, and it gets a 3 out of 10. Comfort is surprisingly not that great, and it gets a 4 out of 10. Quality is fine. The interior isn't very nice, but these are reliable and durable, and it gets a 7 out of 10. Practicality is low. These are very capable, but also huge and impossible to take or park anywhere, and it gets a 3 out of 10. Finally, value, and these are huge money for what they are. Their appeal is incredibly narrow, and it gets a 4 out of 10 for a total daily score of 21 out of 50. Added up, and the Doug score is 39 out of 50. And here's the F-650 next to a bunch of other big and ridiculous trucks and SUVs I've reviewed. It loses badly. The F-650 is an absurd vehicle, and I highly do not recommend it unless you absolutely gotta have it. And if you're that type of person, well, then you don't care about its Doug score. You're too busy laughing at the peasants you run over as you drive around in your F-650.
oh, the Mercedes 1.5 million pickup truck. Look at the dual back.
That's ugly.
You don't like that?
No, that's ugly.
I mean, it's
ugly.
it looks like a Hummer.
It's
like
ugly.
a military
No, it does
Hummer.
not. That's ugly.
See, I always liked the
Cruisers.
FJ Cruiser. I wanted to buy one. Lana didn't. Like she said, it felt like being inside a tank. It wasn't open. It didn't have a lot of glass. There was blind spots. She said it just felt like.
Aren't you sad you didn't know me then?
Oh,
'Cause
we'd have had it.
Yeah, we'd have had that.
We'd have had it. Well, we may have to. Let's go back. We may have to subscribe to this guy. But anyway, so what do you think? It's still.
I already told you what I think.
The guy's just.
I come into that. I told you I didn't care what he rated it. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm getting one.
Well, he lives in California anyway.
Okay,
He's a
so-
Democrat.
He's stupid. So I'm getting one.
It's okay, guys. Forget getting Grandma's getaway nest egg. Help Grandma get her F-650.
Nope. I don't want nobody to help me get my F-650.
We got to get this channel up going.
I understand that, but the minute they help me get my F-650, mugs think they have the right to ask to borrow it. Nope.
Well, no,
This is not a car they could borrow.
Well, they couldn't borrow Big Red.
Yes, they could have. If you yes, you'd have let them. Yes, you were that guy. It's replaceable. It's just a truck. Yeah, but my truck. No.
Well, I'm not. I don't drive anyway.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So
That's all for you because I don't drive.
exactly.
I don't even have a driver's license anymore because I don't drive. I can't drive.
Look.
I'm not trustworthy.
I don't want to have nobody. No, you can't ask. Well, I helped pay for it, so it's mine. I don't want to have that conversation.
But no, see,
Just like with the Miata. I love driving the Miata. One, because I can't give a bunch of people a ride. Two, none of the kids can ask me to borrow it because they don't know how to drive a manual transmission. I think of things like this. I do. Because, okay, with the exception of Robin and Mark. Okay? With the exception of Robin and Mark Allen. Out of the other 5 kids, who you think they're going to willy-nilly let use their car? You think they're going to just willy-nilly let somebody use their car? It's family.
I lost you someplace.
Okay. Mark and Robin will give up their vehicle if somebody
okay.
needs to.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Okay, you tell me who else will give up a vehicle.
Okay, I got you. I got you now.
Not none of the other 5.
I got you.
Not Robert Lee. Joshua damn sure ain't gonna let you drive his truck. Pika's not gonna let nobody drive that Avenger or that Jeep Cherokee she got. Miranda ain't gonna let nobody drive her little car. She just got it. Marquise just got him a Chrysler 300. You not driving that. Nobody's driving that. I don't even think he let Lena drive it. No. See? And see, I don't have to worry about Mark Allen and Robin asking to drive it. They're little.
They're too short.
Too short.
Too short.
Too
They
short.
couldn't even climb in it.
Robin would find a way.
They'd have to monkey climb into it.
Robin would find a way. She'd find a way.
Well, let's end this up. We're almost at 50 minutes. So anyway, you don't care what he says. We're getting one.
Exactly. And then about the only 2 I trust to drive my truck would be Mark Allen and Robin.
All right, guys. We hope everything's going great for you. I hope you're having a good week, good day, good new year. And remember, enjoy how bad it is today because tomorrow it'll be worse. Love y'all.
Yes.